Because of the nature of our business, we have on our application, we have an optional questionnaire where we give people every opportunity to disclose, because labor laws and I think ADA, the law, thank you, American with Disabilities Act, I don't think you can ask, not directly. So on our application, we have an optional questionnaire. We have this lovely paragraph about how we are so intentional about wanting to hire people with lived experience of mental health, addiction, and trauma. And so to get people comfortable enough to actually give us that information, because if we have to dig it out, it's going to be really hard to hire you. So we give people an opportunity to self-disclose, and hardly ever does anybody not, once they read what we're trying to do with it, do they not just tell us. It makes it so much easier. So.
Sorry, Julia. The P.E.E.R Center is a consumer-operated service, and we believe very strongly in peer support. So obviously, if we want to hire people that have the lived experience with mental illness, but we can't ask you if you have lived experience with mental illness, it does create a little bit of a
dilemma,
of a gray area. But obviously, we have Juliet.
You have in front of you 3 people who are very strong advocates and activists. That doesn't mean everybody needs to be. And I don't want that to come off just because we are saying, yes, this is what we do. It doesn't mean that everybody's in that position or has that kind of personality. And certainly I do, encourage people to start stepping up, because we need to break the stigma. But don't think just because we're up here, we're all strong personalities, and if probably we lived together, we'd probably fight all the time. But we'd have fun too. But please bear that in mind as we speak too. And to find your niche in this process is going to be important.
You show them the way to treat other individuals. Some people are so ingrained in their, the way their lives and the filters they've been through and different experiences, their cultures and that sort of thing. Some people that you can't change, but you can do the right thing by modeling the way and allow them the opportunity to step forward, enable them to act, to be the leader. Even though they're a supervisor, your kindness and that sort of thing toward that individual that you're working with will spend volumes to the person, that you're trying to educate. And you're not doing it so openly where you're being insubordinate, but you are showing another way that things can be done. And, like we talked about, like we are very loud people and that sort of thing. However, like if there's a joke in a lunchroom and that sort of thing, your voice can be heard by just saying, I'm not comfortable with this, or just stepping out of the room. That says volumes. Because if everybody left the room, who would be left, So I think that, even having a conversation and getting to know, to establish that rapport, find out where they're at. There's, like I said, my mom, has her set way of thinking, and she calls me the bleeding heart social worker. I'm never going to change her thinking. She's not going to change mine. But we tolerate, and I educate, she educates, and then there's this camaraderie that happens where we both learn from each other. Like he said earlier, you take even if they get a little piece of information or something, and they take that with them, they took something.
The dean of my seminary, let's put it that way, the president, I guess, was of my seminary. I was in his class in my 3rd year, and he made a joke about going to the cuckoo bin or something like that. And I loved this man. And so after the class, I went up to him and I said, I just want you to know that I have bipolar disorder, and things like cuckoo bins and making little jokes like that, I think it perpetuates stigma. And he stopped and he thought, I never thought about that. And he says, I grew up, my mother was in an asylum like the majority of my life. And it didn't even occur to me that that's kind of perpetuating that stigma. So I think that talking to people, I think we get so used to it. It's like using phrases that are actually racial slurs. People don't get it. People don't even think about it because they've heard it for so long. The other thing is, and I'm sorry to say this about social workers, but I'm sure that you have found this if you are a social worker. There's a lot of social workers that know nothing about mental illness, really. They know the books, they know, and they're working with people, and they just don't get it. And they think that, well, this person should just grow up, or, you know, they're just trying to get attention, or all of those things. And so we do have to educate our peers a whole lot. And I think you were saying, somebody was saying that there are people that just are not fit for social work. They don't have the kind of insight, even once you talk to them about it, they can apply to working with people that can be erratic in their behavior sometimes, that can make choices based on their moods or their emotions. Those are very big realities in social. We have a lot of people that go into social work, and I don't mean to stereotype, and I don't mean to, but we have a lot of people that go into social work because they like people and they can fix people. And we have clergy like that.
Wrong reason.
So
Right,
it's
wrong.
one of those things where as we begin to speak out, as we begin to address jokes in the lunchroom or whatever, those are the things that start educating people. And they're minor, and they don't seem real offensive to people usually. So we're kind of getting in there.
You've heard us say this at the P.E.E.R Center all the time, model the way. Well, modeling the way is not just in the P.E.E.R Center, but it's also in your life. And so you're leading, you're a leader. This is a way for you to practice baby steps, leadership. Because, okay, so your supervisor doesn't understand, show her. And you show her, not tell her, or I'm assuming it's a her, show him by how you do it. So you lead the way by not succumbing to the culture, because if that person is in a leadership position, that person is creating a culture of intolerance, a culture of a culture of stigma. And so you lead the way. Show them how it's done. You don't even have to talk about it. Just show them how it's done. And and this is where relationship is important. It is easier to share information with someone you have a relationship with. It's easier to make a point with someone you have a relationship with. And so it might come up in a sideways kind of conversation, so we don't want to get you fired or wherever. But lead the way.